Well, friends, there's still no sign of Jimmy, hashtag Jimmy come home. So in his absence, seeing as though we can't do any epic B-rolls, I thought I'd talk to you about some gear. Now, a lot of the photography YouTube channels have been putting out videos like your gear doesn't matter. And whilst to an extent I think it may be true for photography, I think for video it's an absolute fallacy. Now, you might think that any gear conversation about videos would start with a camera. But no, in fact, cameras are the least of your troubles. The first thing you need to sort out is audio. Fortunately, that's also the cheapest part. Bad audio, it's the main thing that will make people click off your video, no matter what the content is, unless you've captured aliens landing from Mars. As evidenced by this, I'm not using a mic at the moment, this is just recorded from the camera. Yikes. First up, and probably the easiest and cheapest as a package option that you can go for, is the Rodelink Filmmaker Kit. Now, this is a piece of kit that you have seen on this channel several times. It consists of a transmitter, onto which is attached the lav mic, and a receiver that you can then plug in a 3.5mm jack into, and then plug that into your mic socket in your camera. So already this is a much better solution. Now, this mic is a condenser mic, which means it's going to be more sensitive. If you watch my podcast video, I'll explain a little bit more about the difference between the sorts of mics, but it's quite a sensitive mic, so it does pick up your voice very well, but also picks up surrounding sounds. Now, the other amazing thing about this piece of kit is the range, and to test this, I'm going to take myself for a little walk. Now, here I am about 100 meters away from the van. If you have a zoom lens that goes this far, well done, but I think ultimately this is just going to be as far as you'll ever want to get from the thing that's recording you. So all in all, the Rodelink Filmmaker Kit will set you back about $419, and that includes the transmitter, the receiver, and the lav mic. So everything you need to record it into your camera. Next option would be to get an external recorder and place it near your talent, like the Zoom H4n here. But obviously here it's in the shot. If you want to move it a bit further away so that it's out of the shot, the sound certainly reduces because of the configuration of the mics. So the Zoom H4n is great, but it's mainly to be used in this kind of proximity and configuration, which obviously ruins the shot. Next! The next option would be something like this cinematic shotgun mic. Even at a distance, they do a great job at picking up voice. So at the moment, it's mounted right next to my camera, and it's still doing an admirable job, and it's out of the frame. I haven't got the price for that exact shotgun mic, but usually they set you back between around $200 and $300, and then you need cables and stuff on top of that, which is not a huge expense, but just so that you know. The other problem with those powered shotgun mics is, if you're anything like me, you'll always forget to switch them on, which means you'll have no sound, and then you'll always forget to switch them off at the end, which means you'll have no batteries next time. I know, I'm an idiot. You could also go for the shotgun mic's little brother, which is this little thing here. It is the Zoom F1. This comes in at $319 currently, but the trick with this one is that it can take both a lav and be attached to a belt, and a shotgun and be attached to either a camera or sitting on a table like this and recording close proximity audio. You can see that there's a sort of silver component there. Now that's actually a capsule connector. So this thing really is the unit. Now the F1 serves both as a mount for Zoom's proprietary connectors, and they actually have a bunch of different microphones that you can buy for the top. And you can also just bung a little cover on this and then plug in a lav mic, and if you want a set of headphones into this, and you can actually have this as a recorder on a person. And when mounted on top of a camera or a rail, it comes with this little hot shoe mount. You can also just undo these little arms that hold these rails, and then it becomes a belt clip, and the belt goes through in between those silver things. So one little package allows you to do lav mic and also shotgun. I've also done quite a lot of run and gun filming with it being attached to the top of the camera on a rail and pushed forward, and it does a great job at recording sound even up to a meter or so away. Now the standard mic rules still apply, which means that as close as you can get the shotgun mic or the end of the shotgun mic to the talent, the better. Now if you actually push it out any further than that, it will start to intrude into the shot, so you don't want that. And then if you wanted to, you could go for something like the Sennheiser E835s that I showed you last time in the podcasting. But again, these have to be in the shot. If you try to, you can probably move them here and have them side on to the shot, but if you move them closer to the camera, I don't think you're picking up very much sound from them at all. Whatever you do, choose something. So now cameras. Even a few years ago when you talked video cameras, you would imagine someone walking up to you with something like this beast here. Are you comfortable? Let's talk. And whilst it does have a flip out screen, I'm not sure what you think about the practicalities of vlogging with this. So if you subscribe to any filmmaking channels, you will see a lot of the people, at least a few years ago, were using Canons. So you would think that the most obvious choice for a videographer would be a Canon. Not true. Unfortunately, the way that Canon seems to do their cameras is to split the market between those who want video and those who want photos. You'll never get as good a video even out of something like a 1DX as you will out of a C200. Now, it's more a business decision than anything else because they have split the market between videographers and photographers, but they want to sell their lenses across the board. And I understand it. From a business perspective, it kind of makes sense. Now, it seems to me that Sony have taken the opposite approach and banged together the great photography capabilities with great filming capabilities. And that's ultimately why I went for the Sony a7 Mark III. There is one major downfall, and that is that for vlogging, it doesn't have a tilt-around screen. If you're getting it for a vlogging camera, there's probably better options out there. On the other extreme, you'll find people on the photography YouTube channels saying, just do stuff with your phone. Your phone is really good. It can take photos. I mean, yes, it can take photos, but with video, it will suffer from many different things, as I'll demonstrate now. The back camera is usually better as it is on this Samsung Galaxy. But you can't see yourself, and the audio again is probably terrible, and it's coming at you from whatever microphone is installed in the phone. And again, for goodness sake, please do not film, no matter what you do not film in portrait. And I know that Instagram, you want a 1x1 box. You can achieve that filming landscape like I'm doing now, and then chopping away the box. So let's just agree, no phones. Now, I don't publish any of my videos in 4K because I don't think there's much point. I don't think there are enough panels out there that actually people have in their homes to watch 4K on. But I do film them all in 4K, and you might ask why. With a 4K image scaled down to 1080p by the time you publish it on YouTube, you can grab the whole thing and zoom right in. You can also take that whole zoomed in image and move it around, which is very handy if you want to have a person looking that way and you want to see more of what they're looking at, looking that way, etc. You get the point. And this is especially useful if you're filming yourself and you don't have a camera operator to do the actual optical zoom, which is the other obvious choice. And when you want to bounce back and forth between different zooms at a rapid rate and have cut-ins and do it all in post-processing, it's a pain in the bum if you want to try and do it optically, so digitally is always the best way to go. The last thing we'll talk about is the nice-to-haves, specifically lighting. Now, lighting is of course important because with these lights off, this is what it looks like. Yes, it looks like I'm in the Blair Witch Project. Oh, actually, hang on a sec. Now it looks like we're in the Blair Witch Project. Obviously, when you start off, you don't have studio lights. I certainly didn't have studio lights. So I did the best I could with natural lighting and environmental lights. But burn what this looks like in your mind for a moment, because we're going to go through those and you'll soon see some limitations. First, daylight. Pretty bad, right? So with daylight, the key is you want to be as close to the window as is humanly possible. Here I'm pretty far away, and this is kind of unforgivable. Let's try the overhead lights. Yeah, so these are the overhead lights with the blinds drawn. Real bad, especially when you compare it back to these. All right, so you don't need the lights at the back. That's a bit of a nice to have just to give you a bit of separation, but you'll see that there is a light in most of my videos just to separate the subject, le moi, from le background. So these two lights are a fairly small and basic set of aperture lights. They'll set you back around $320 odd each. They come with batteries, chargers, bags, the whole lot. It's actually a pretty good deal. And especially if you combine them with an umbrella or a diffuser, as I've got them here, then it actually does a pretty good job of bouncing light all over the place, making it nice and soft, and, you know, doing a pretty good job barring some $1,200 monstrosity, which is on the Christmas list. Other cool thing about them is that they are daylight and tungsten balanced, and they have a remote, so you can actually change the entire balance of that. So let's see if the camera catches up. There, now they're full tungsten, so now as soon as the white balance catches up, you'll be able to see what that sort of setting looks like, which is a much warmer setting. But to be honest, I kind of like more the daylight lights, as it gives you a more crispy edge to the person, I always feel, and actually better skin tones despite the fact that it's a bit of a bluer light, which I know is a bit bizarre. Now you can actually get these ones with daylight only or with daylight and tungsten. In retrospect, I would have probably bought the daylight only. Main reason why is that these panels actually only light up fully at about 4300 Kelvin, which means that most of the time they're actually only using half of the LEDs in there and thus providing half the light. So if you buy the daylight only ones, then all the LEDs are 5500 Kelvin. They're all shining at the same time, which means that you get the greatest light spread for your money. So now you can at least see the gear that I use for my videos. If you have any questions about why I went with any of the things that I went with, or if you want my opinion on a set of gear that you want to buy, feel free to chuck it down in the comments and I will answer you. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, etc. and I'll see you in the next one. See you guys.